outlook for this weekend, here in Denver? Oh, shoot.
Like what do you mean for the outlook? Like what, who we're playing?
Do you know what these teams are you playing? I looked at your schedule a little bit.
I pulled it up. We play NoCo Northern Colorado Triple Threat National. Our first game, and then we got Colorado Titans 14 black, and then we play B&B 7 black. So I don't know. Pluto's and then Colorado Premier's also in that, but it's 2 pools.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I know the team I got some decent kids. Like I got some good kids, but I just don't work with them. This is like me showing up like, yo, I'm just helping out type thing, coaching them. So I can't make it to Rapid for practice because work gets out at 5 and I'm not gonna drive a quick hour there and then get back home at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
That's not worth it.
No.
Well, I'm excited to watch you coach, bro. I'm excited to see what you got these dudes doing. I know you said
I got a little how do I say it? Like a secondary break action that I want to run or try and start getting them to do that I think with that group would be so good, like a handoff into a ball screen and then just going and reading off that because they need something to start it off because we just let them go hoop.
Yeah. Those little simple actions that they can just run quickly, a lot of times those will create some good stuff at those younger ages,
What ages?
Be a little quicker.
I got 8th grade boys. I got the 8th grade boys. They're not bad. It's just like I said, I'm not there enough to like really implement what I want to implement with them. So I just kind of ride off of what Clem and Ted do. But with my Sundance kids, I'm still going to start teaching them dribble drive because I think that we're going to be so small at Rapid in the School of Mines tournament at the end of the month. That I was like, we can run motion action, but if we do dribble drive, we're going to be a nightmare to guard.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you got quick guards, bro. It's going to be they're going to be insane.
That was like Hilgs, your first year when we went dribble drive. No, the second year is when we really had dribble drive going too. Like we had the perfect guys for that.
It gave teams some fits, that's for sure. There were some teams that kind of sniffed it out, like I think I remember Metro usually guarded us pretty well. Mines obviously always guarded us pretty well. But there were some times like we were playing and I'm sitting there like, man, our offense is really rolling.
For real.
We're really getting going right now.
I just know I remember it was so funny every single time, every game, we'd always score on the opening play with Wyatt doing the fake deal at the top where he would spin back, Nick would fire, and then back cut, bounce pass, layup every single time.
Nick was hilarious. Good at kind of setting up that little back cut and then being cool. He's kind of slithery to the rim.
Mm-hmm. John, you played at Natrona, right?
Yeah, so I played in Natrona, but I played it. I played a year at DU too, coming out of high school. Yeah. So I played it. I got hurt my junior year at Natrona. Broke my ankle in a winter run, like 2 weeks before season. Broke my ankle, couldn't play, and then I played a little bit my senior year, and then decided to just run track, and then moved to Denver after high school. Didn't have any college offers or anything. Just moved to go to school, and got linked up with a dude that went to DU and was like, "Hey, you should come try out." I was just working out at the gym and playing, and he was like, "You should come try out." And I tried out and walked on for a year, and then that's when I transferred to BH.
Okay. Yeah. Who was on your Natrona team? I'm trying to remember. Did you play with Tom?
Yeah, so I played with Tom. I played with Mike Dietz. I played with Mario Dietz. Like those are the three big names in all of them.
I forgot about him. I forgot about Mario too. Damn, those dudes were cold.
And the crazy thing about Mario is he probably if he had actually gave a shit about basketball, he was probably the best player of the three, just because he could score at all levels and he was so athletic. But once he just stopped caring and decided he was going to go to college for track, he just kind of just played just to be with the homies, And but he could have easily been the best of the three.
Because I remember we'd always end up our young traveling team, our coach had 2 kids. He had one that was my age and then one that was about your age. And so that was like Cam Anderson and all those you guys would play and win in those. And I just remember being little and watching them play. I'm like, God damn, this Casper team is so good. Because the Casper group we had was really bad. Like we were really bad. And so we would wax them by like 50 every game. But then we'd come watch you guys play. And I was like, damn, there's 2 different worlds over here.
You guys had size that wasn't typical in Wyoming. You know, like Mike Dietz was 6'7" or whatever he was. Tom Earl's obviously 6'4"-ish, 6'5"-ish.
Yeah, Mario's about 6'1", 6'2", and
Mario
it was crazy then too.
Big.
Yeah, dude, he was so fast, man. And it was crazy then because, like you said, you know, there wasn't really a whole lot of size, especially in Wyoming, but even like in anywhere we went and played. I think James Johnson at that time was a senior when we were, you know, juniors, and he was the biggest person on the floor that I think that we played at any point in time. So it was crazy to like see those dudes, just like be even around them and just see those dudes play at such a high level, being big guys. Cause I'd never really seen any big guy be able to, you know, shoot the ball and get to the rim and dunk and shit like that. It was all just like guards growing up, you know?
I'm pretty sure, like I'm almost 100% positive you guys were top 20 at one point too, like in the nation. That's how
17 in the nation at one point in time. Yeah. That shit was crazy.
That was that.
Yeah, it was. And then after that, we played. That was when we got a ranking, and then we went down and played East. And
that's right.
Beat them in a close game. And then after that, James Johnson killed us that next game.
I'll stand by this till the day I die. Nico Johnson, his little brother, would have been the best Wyoming player ever.
Don't get me started on Nico.
He was cold, bro.
Nico is so cold. I remember hearing rumors about what happened, but he just dropped out. Like he just vanished, gone. Like went to college, was in Colorado all of a sudden.
Bro, so he played last year at a JUCO I want to say out of Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah, because I went to
no way, bro.
I don't know if you guys know Sean Gutting, but he was the head coach here at CC.
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty tight with him. That's my guy. And so he gave me a pass, and so I just go up and watch the games and stuff. And he got announced, and I was bugging because I didn't know if it was him or not. And sure enough, man, he was out there playing. He plays. I want to say it's out of Nebraska, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
You don't remember which one it was?
I'll have to look. Let me look at their schedule. Let me pull their schedule up real quick, and I can tell you who it is.
Okay. No, I don't remember a whole lot because I was really young at that time. I remember watching James Johnson play and like those Cheyenne teams play. They were good. I really think like that's when
Western.
That sounds it sounds close. It sounds close.
Bush,
it's either Nebraska team or an Iowa team. Let me pull I'm pulling their schedule right now. Give me a second.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to introduce you.
Yeah. Might as well.
This is our good buddy, Jon Grace from, we know him from Black Hills. Well, actually, I know you from after Black Hills. I didn't
bro, for real.
3-4 years ago. But Bush knows him from Black Hills. Like you mentioned already, he did a year at DU as a walk-on, but decided to do track instead of at Black Hills. But he's a hoop guy and he knows hoops and can really talk about it. So we were excited to have him on today.
That was the biggest.
Yeah,
that was the biggest reason why.
This is dope.
Yep. Yeah. That was the biggest reason why I was like, hey, let's get you. I was like, it all of a sudden just clicked. I was like, man, Jon, like one of the one guys that like follows us and like stays in touch with us that's actually commenting on our stuff and making good points. And I'm like, yeah, he needs to get on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro.
He was to get on it.
I was so stoked when you asked me, man. I was so hyped because y'all, same thing. Y'all are the few people that I trust to talk hoop with, like you can't talk hoop with everybody. And you guys know that, man. Like there's some commoners and there's some people who, get the game on a fan level and on a social media level, but not on a hoop level, man. It's different.
No.
That's and also you did go to Western Nebraska is where it's at.
That's where it is.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
That's crazy. He made he's back.
They got his name spelled on the roster as Biko, so I know they fucked it up. I know. Oh man. But yeah, bro, and he was going and he was hooping too, man. He was going crazy. He still got it, man. I don't know what his next path is and what his next step is, but he's one of those dudes who, like you said, is like generational. He would have been the best player in Wyoming by far if he just kept on the path he was going. And I don't really know what happened. I know he did some time, and I won't speak on that because I don't know anything about it. But from when I saw him play, he's still got bounce, man. He's still quick to the rim. He's honestly a great defender too, which is I think is really underrated for him. Is everybody knew him as a scorer in high school. He could score. He's scoring 30 points a game like it's nothing. But the dude can defend, man. He can flat out just play.
Bush, I don't know about you, but I played against Nico from a real young age. Like, I want to say I started playing travel basketball, I want to say maybe 4th, 5th grade-ish. And I want to say Nico was on that Cheyenne. What was their mascot? Do you remember? What was their?
He was the Thunderbirds. He played. Or are you talking about their travel squad?
Yeah. When they were young, their travel squad. I can't remember what they call. It might have been Thunderbirds, to be honest with you, because they had the same colors as East and everything. But I remember playing against him from a real young age, and then all of a sudden, when we got to like 7th, 8th grade, he was doing some stuff that we had never seen before. And we're like, oh, like this dude is crazy, And I remember, I guess the big thing I'll say on him is Laramie hosted regionals. I think I was a freshman. And, or I think maybe a freshman or sophomore. And there was a free throw, and Nico's back behind the 3-point line, waiting for the free throw. It comes off the rim. He goes up, maybe left early, who knows, but just grabs that thing to the side and boom, flushes it. And, our gym is packed, and we're like, our whole student section went crazy, and we're sitting there like, that's not our team. Like, come on.
Oh, the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and as no one from Wyoming, I was pretty young, and it was when the Energy Classic we were really pulling in some really talented teams, and we brought in Bishop Gorman and Galena High School in the same year. So they had Bishop Gorman had DeMarco Murray at the time, and then Galena had they're from Nevada too, but they had Luke Babbitt. Do you guys remember him? He got a little lefty.
Where
Luke Babbitt was there, Nevada.
Oh, he went to Nevada.
I remember watching them play. But the coolest thing, we were watching it was Bishop O'Gorman versus Shattern High School, and it was Elliot Eliason was on Shattern. He played at Minnesota, big tall dude, and DeMarco Murray wins the tip over this kid. He's pushing like 6'10", wins the tip. Tips it back to his point guard. His point guard just kind of walked it up to half court slowly and just throws this lob up. And all of a sudden, like, you follow this ball, here comes DeMarco Murray out of nowhere. Just 2 hands, boom! And I was like, oh, shit. This is the high school level. That's the type of thing you never think you'd see. No.
John, who was the player you played against that you like the first player you played against that you remember that was like that had that different feel to him where it was really like, okay, this person is crazy?
Let's see. There was I lived in Colorado for a little bit, and I played with the Colorado Crush, like the travel team for a little, probably like same thing, like 8th or 9th grade, something like that. And we went to a tournament down in Vegas, and I'm about in the age range of like Derrick Rose and like Mario Chalmers and all those dudes. I didn't personally get to play any of them, but I got to watch Mario Chalmers play, and that was the dude who I was like, he's different, bro. Like in like 9th grade, he's putting windmill dunks down, like he's scoring 40 like it's nothing. Jumper wet as hell, just can shoot from everywhere. I'm like, bro, I don't have half of these skills. Mind you, in the 9th grade, I've already hit my growth spurt. So I'm 5'9" at that time. I can't, and kids are just starting to grow. There's dudes. I'm finally seeing dudes 6'2", 6'3" playing and stuff. And Mario Chalmers is right there in that range. He's probably 5'10", maybe 6 foot, close to there. But the dude is scoring so quick, and that was what caught me off guard. Is he is scoring the basketball so quick. They inbound it. He touches the ball, he shoots, he scores. They get a stop. They outlet it. He's running. He pulls up from 28 feet, bang, like nothing. As a 9th grade kid, I'm like, that shit's unreal. And that was when I really knew that some people just got it, and some people got to work for it. Like he just got it. He just has it.
Who's yours, Hills?
I would say, well, for me, like there's different basketball phases where I started playing against a little better competitions. But I would say Nico was like the earliest one for me. Like I said, 7th, 8th grade, he was doing stuff that, like we said, no one at that age was doing, at least that I was around.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would say once I got to like high school or college, man, I would say, I played with Gary Payton II in the JUCO, the thing in Vegas. He was
Jamboree.
Obviously, the what are they called?
I know what you're talking about.
Top 100 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't top 100, but they let people in that aren't top 100. Let's not get that twisted. But man, like it's so tough to say that because I've played against guys that they're still playing or they're still, hooping at some level, and they all did it in a different way that was like, wow, this dude moves different, or he's crazy athletic, or he sees the floor at a different level. But I would say in high school it was Xavier Talton. He ended up playing at CU, I believe. He was a Sterling High School kid.
Okay.
But just abused me. Like abused me. Oh, and then so I can't even believe I didn't think about this one. Josh Adams, I played against him in
I was just gonna ask you.
Yeah, I played against him in at the UW team camp. Obviously, they probably asked him to come so they could watch him play and recruit him. Looking back on it, but because he was on some team that like you could tell he was just thrown on that team for that team camp.
For that,
okay. He wasn't from where that team was from. They just were like, look, come to our team camp. We want this kid to play with you because we're recruiting him. I'm sure that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But he's another one that just abused me. Oh, my gosh. It was in every way possible.
On the topic of UW dudes, too, I got to give an honorable mention on that, too, to Luke Martinez. He came here and played a couple times in town, just like right before he went overseas. And I didn't go to UW, so I never really watched him play. I snuck in on a couple games, and he looked nice. And then, all that suspension stuff happened, so I never really watched him play after that. Yeah. And he came here, and we just had like some open gym runs at the Y and the Rec here in town. And granted, the competition he's playing is not nearly as high as used. So he can go. He's giving out buckets regardless, man. But he's another dude who he's not very fast. He's not going to give you like a quick bucket, but he's shifty, man. He handles the rock well, and he's got great footwork. And when he shoots, it's like a picture perfect thing. Like he shoots the ball the same way every single time.
For real.
It never has like any variation. The only thing is if it's too far, it's going to bounce out, or if it's too short, it's going to hit the front of the rim. But otherwise, that shit's going
to Yeah. I remember that was unfortunate what happened to him because he had a legit chance of going, I think, to the league, like legit.
Yeah, I think so too.
I got the luxury of guarding Josh Perkins the summer of my going into my junior year because Coach Curry took attendance for open gym, and I had been going to all the open gyms that summer, and like to all the individual workouts and then all to the open gyms. And I remember one of the kids got hurt, and he asked me last minute, do you want to come to Denver? We need just one more. I mean, you're not going to play a whole lot, but we'll find time for you. I was like, yeah, sure. So we're playing at Columbine, and it's like the second game, and we're playing Regis. And I had no idea who this kid was. Like, I legitimately had no clue who he was. And he was giving out, like, buckets. And I got subbed in for one of the guards, and I had to guard him one time. He came down right to left, pull up, 3, cash. Next one, like, hesitation, blew right past me because I was super slow-footed. And I'm looking around like, guys, can y'all, like, help me out? Can we get a switch? This is not going to happen if I guard him. And then I got to guard Ronnie Harrell at a UW team camp when he was playing for a Denver AAU team. He was nasty too. He hit 2 like 28 footers on me that were pretty contested that I turned and I looked. I was like, I don't know what else to do there. He's walking up. I got a hand up. That's a great shot, man. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't do nothing.
I will say though, I remember I was helping out with BH. I can't remember. I think Hilgs, were you there when Linford's was the GA? The big tall dude? No, you weren't.
I don't think so.
So after I got to see in that same turn, it was like one of the last years of the Energy Classic. The boys and the girls had some solid players. I remember the girls' side had Sabrina Inescu's team come up, and she was a freshman at the time and averaged 40 per game in the tournament. Like, she made it look so easy. They shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been in that tournament.
Yeah.
Because that was when Kaylee Johnson was at Natrona, and
I remember that.
And that was supposed to be a big game, and Natrona got waxed by 40, and I was like, yeah, okay, this team's really good. And then the next day, I'm sitting watching this team from Vegas, Liberty High School, and it was Julian Strother when he was really young. And the dude was kind of a chunkster when he was younger. And I looked at Linford's. I'm like, yo, this kid right here, this kid is good. And he's like, yeah, he's a sophomore and he's already getting D1 calls like Gonzaga and people. All that. I was like, all right, yeah, don't even look for someone else.
John, but to your point, like you said, how Luke Martinez scored it different than Mario Chalmers did. That's kind of why it's tough for me to answer that. You know what I mean? Like, you see dudes kill it in so many different ways. It's tough to narrow it down because I guess for me, like, the way I narrow it down is who whipped my butt the worst. You know? who took it to me the worst.
Facts, bro. And it's crazy too. And I know you, obviously, with you guys coaching, I know you guys see it. Like, a lot of that is like early development. You know, like it's the same thing as like when people hit their growth spurts and stuff. You know, players are going to play different based on at that age. It's a lot of what your size is. You know, like if you were the biggest kid in your grade in 8th grade, that's going to reflect on you in 11th grade, 12th grade because you're used to being that big kid. It's hard to break that cycle even if you're not the biggest guy. Whereas you know, like, some of those dudes grow into that body, but they have those guard skills. And that Mario Chalmers is one of those dudes that I've seen that, like, he grew into that body. He didn't always have that body, but he always had those guard skills, so that just traveled with him. It's the same thing as, like, even with guys like, you know, Kyrie's or the like the Ben Simmons, like stuff like that. Like, granted, Ben Simmons is not the best scorer, but he's got that guard mentality at 6'10". He knows the game as a guard because he was always a small guy.
Yep. Hills, I want to ask you this because I'm actually kind of shocked you didn't mention his name, but what about Derek White? Because you played against him for a year.
Like, another great one. You know, just that was disrespectful that I didn't think of him in the first place, but. Yeah, he's absolutely up there. You know,
bro, is his game as unorthodox in person as it looks on TV?
Yes.
When I see him play on TV, he looks weird, bro. He looks like he should never do basketball.
He runs on his toes. He moves on his toes. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I remember with him playing against him was. He knew what shot he was going to get to, and he knew how to get to his spots.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously he lived at the free throw line. Like I think the 2 times we played him, he was easily in double digits for free throws both times.
Yeah.
But at the NBA level, for me, he's really developed his playmaking for other guys.
Yeah.
Like the way they use him to be a facilitator, I think he's developed that part of his game. You know, obviously he was doing that at CU a little bit more too when he made that jump. But that's the biggest jump I've seen from him since he's got to the NBA.
Yeah. No, I agree. That dude was cold. We talked about it earlier. I was so shocked when I found out he was second team all defense in the NBA for a kid that came out of the RMAC. That's crazy. Like a CJ McCollum story, because you remember how they compare how CJ was so little when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
And then like Derek White was the same way. He was little, like tiny, little brittle kid. And then all of a sudden just out of nowhere growth spurt and turned into the player he is today. So that's crazy, because a lot of kids think at that age, like, man, I'm not good. But you never know. Like, you really never know. Some kids are super late bloomers and their body just develops at a different age later on.
But to John's point, I think, you know, say you're a big gumpy kid when you're growing up, don't just work on post moves.
No.
Because you might not be a post if you want to play at the next level, you know, like
100%.
if that's your goal and stuff. But don't just work on and develop your post game, because at that next level, that might not be you. And the way the game is now, versatility is at a premium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people want that versatility out there on the floor. But that's a great point, John, of just like, whatever stage you're at in your game, or whether you're the best player on the floor or you're hardly getting in that game, continue to develop skills that are going to translate, because the next spot you might not be that position. You know, it might not translate to that position.
And let me ask you too, because I've been wanting to ask you guys this, since you guys both coach and you guys are, you know, you've coached at that higher level as well. When you go into like recruiting a player, say that player is, you know, maybe mid-level. It's not like, you know, we're going to take this dude no matter what. It's a guy you bring in, you know, hey, we're going to work this dude out and see where he goes from here. What do you both specifically look for in that type of player?
Great question. Go ahead, Bush.
Just kind of like everything. Like, I want you to be able to, like, just show me what you high motor. Can you push through some things? Because those type of workouts are going to be hard for a reason. Like, their coaches are going to push you to see, can I get this kid to break a little bit? Is he going to quit on me? Is he just going to keep going? And then I always looked for like level-headedness, kids that, you know, because there's going to be times where you're struggling in a workout and you're not making every shot, or you keep messing up, or are you going to get frustrated and pissed off and quit that way? Or are you just going to be like, all right, whatever, next play, I got it. You know, or are you going to keep trying, giving 100%? That was the biggest thing for me is that, and just like your motor. Because at the end of the day, when you're at that level, it's like, I saw a tweet about college football. They're like, college football isn't for the weak. They're doing stuff from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., you know? Yeah. And college basketball is kind of the same thing. Like, you're doing stuff all day in those preseason workouts. Like, it's a grind time. So who can I bring in? Someone who I don't have to worry about during that stuff? Or is he going to be one of those guys that's like, nah, he doesn't know how to push himself type thing?
Gotcha. Yeah, Bush, that's a great point. That kind of just in general, the mentality part of it is what is their mentality. Because just touch on that real quick. Like, I remember my first college workout, to not once I got to college, but like trying to, you know, work my way into college. I was going to visit Sheridan and places like that, and BH, but that's when I realized it was I had to work at a different level than I've ever worked before, and at a different pace, you know. So to Bush's point, when you see a kid with a great motor, that immediately bumps them up on my list for sure. Especially like you said, if they're that kid on the fringe that like maybe you're a little unsure on and you want to get closer eyes on, you see a kid with a great motor and a just kind of a will to him, man, that's a great thing to see. But I think on the basketball side of things, obviously I stepped into coaching when shooting was, it was becoming huge. And so you always want to put a kid through some type of shooting that relates to what you're trying to bring them in as. So like, if you got a 5-man coming in and he doesn't shoot threes, you're not going to put him through a workout where he's shooting threes. But if you're kind of wondering about how does a kid shoot the ball, got to see how he shoots the ball and how consistent he is. And then I'm a fundamentals guy, so this will be, I guess, I could go on and on about this, but this will be the last thing I'll say is, what is their footwork like? What do they look like with the ball in their hands? Because you talked about Derek White a little bit. Some kids just look awkward with that ball in their hand. And it's just like, man, I feel like you're going to turn this thing over. Whenever that thing's in your hand, I just feel like it's going to go to the other team. So footwork and just kind of how the eye test, I guess, of how they look with that ball in their hands. Yeah. That was a great question.
Going off that one real quick, too, is how I said it last time. I think it was last time or 2 times ago. It all starts with what you send in to me on film, too, if I really want to give you – because, like I said, anyone can look – every highlight looks like Kobe Bryant or MJ, LeBron, all those guys, because we're seeing all the good stuff. Like, you know what I mean? You're seeing every make. I'm seeing all that stuff. Send me game film for real. Like, I want to see how you play in a game too. I want to see your off-ball mentality. I want to see your defensive mentality. Are you always in the right positions defensively? Are you a guy that gets on the floor? Do you box your man out? Do you ever get lazy down there? Because me and Hills have touched on this plenty of times. Not everyone is coming into college to be a scorer. Like I say, Pat Bev, he was a 37. He averaged 37 in Chicago as a high school kid, and now he's mainly in the NBA because of his defense. So can I trust that? Okay, we got a couple scores on the court. Can I trust you to be the guy that's going to lock up defensively? Who's going to take pride in that? You're always in the right spots, and we're not having to worry about that, and just making the right decisions too.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the biggest part of that too is it all encompasses on being a good teammate, and not just like a good teammate, like you're cheering on your teammates, all that obviously matters, but being a good teammate and being in the right position at the right time, making the right play, setting your teammate up to score, maybe getting the hockey assist, something like that, to where you are a player who's not afraid to give up your shine to help your team succeed.
Absolutely. This is why we had you on the podcast, John.
Did you see the Andre Drummond video? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, about that's what minimum. Yeah.
And that speaks. That just made me think of that, because it was like he even said that. He's like, guys are looking for the teammate. He's like, I was not a good teammate when things went and hit the fan. Like, I was a terrible teammate, and you can't have that in the league. Are you going to be a good locker room guy? Are you going to be a guy on the bench that is standing up every single time you score or get a stop and you're cheering your teammates on? Are you the type of guy that runs over and picks your teammate up off the floor after a charge, or everything? So that's also another thing I'll look at is are you a me guy, or are you like a we guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that little one-liner, Bush. Where'd you get that one?
I've always said that, me over we. That's kind of been a term that I use with all my teams now. We over me. Sorry, not me over we. But like we. Jesus.
I wasn't going to hold you up, but
we over me. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it too. Is we're in this together. Not one person. One person can't win this game. We all do it. And I even said that to one of we lost the game. It was the one I was telling you about that we got hosed by the official in Omaha. And at the end of the game, I looked at everyone and said, I was like, we can all be mad at that ref, but he didn't lose us that game. I was like, we lost that game because we did things selfishly towards the end. We started turning into me. I want to win the game. I'm going to do it for the team. When if we had the mentality of, hey, let's do this together, we would have won that game. And so that's what I told him. I was like, you guys can be as mad as you want, but at the end of the day, we're the reason we lost. I messed up, so it falls on me, but it's like it was all of us. So that's another big one.
Absolutely. Being a teammate's like a lost art, I feel like sometimes.
Bro, it's so unspoken now. Just because, I mean, and I think a big part of that has to do with social media. Yes. Everybody wants to get their shine on social media, you know. I was watching this thing the other day as a dude on YouTube talking about when Hoop Mixtape and all that first got real popular. And it's I don't know if you guys listen to who's it, PJ Henson? No.
PJ
Jon Henson.
Oh, Jon Henson. Yeah.
His podcast, Run Your Race. But they talk about
Theo Pinson,
that's who it is, not Jon Henson, Jesus. Colorado or Carolina, same place. But they have the dude on there and they're talking about how he got started and how he came up with the idea for Hoop Mixtape, and he was like, you know what, man, I went to go shoot some film for a homie. I didn't even, it didn't really become a big thing. I edited some film. And he was like, since then it just kind of took off. But he was making a point that like the reason why guys are so superstar out of high school is because of social media and it's because of stuff like that. And it builds a lot of that ego because it's like, well, damn, I see this dude. I just saw this dude's video on Twitter. I got to get mine on there. I got to go get mine. I'm not worried about my team anymore. I'm worried about being the big shot on Twitter, and I'm worried about, these teams hollering me out because they see my videos. And I think social media is just took so much away from the teammate aspect of the game.
That's why I get so pissed off. I tweeted this the other day. I get so pissed off when we're ranking kids that aren't in high school yet.
Yeah,
I hate that. It's just like what your point earlier about in 8th grade, 7th grade, you could be way bigger than everyone else on the court. But are you going to be the same? Are you going to still be that big your senior year, your junior, senior year? It normally evens out because everyone hits their growth spurts differently. Yeah. And so like I hate it. Like there was the one I tweeted, it was like a 5-year-old. They said the number 1 5-year-old in the nation. I was like, why are we doing this? I was like, joke or not, like if it's a joke or not, I don't care. Like you're still this kid. If he sees that, he's still going to be like, oh yeah, I'm the best player. And as a 5-year-old, like, what are we doing? There's so many 5-year-olds that play basketball.
For real.
I love Bush's rants on Twitter more than anything.
But some of my favorite. Bush is probably my top follow on Twitter. Yeah. I would get on just in the middle of the day and be like, yo, go straight to Bush's page. What did this man do today? Like,
what's this guy talking? And I usually don't even need to. It just pops up on my homepage. Like, boom,
it's hilarious because like I noticed it yesterday. I do because I'll be like absent for a very long time, and then it's like I fire them off, bam, 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 like 5 or 6 in a row, and then I'll take, and then I'm done. Like I got to get it out. Like I see one tweet that's like, bro, are you kidding me? And then it's like Twitter knows I'm pissed off, so they start giving me more stuff to banter
they
about.
Target you. They target you
for real. For real, I had to take a break one time. I was like, I'm going too crazy right now. I gotta chill. Like you said, it was your tweet that you tweet at me. You're like, man, you hate LeBron. Like you hate.
You be on there, and I see your tweets, and I'm like, I know this man respects LeBron's game, but this man has to hate him.
Hating, bro.
Has to hate him, bro.
Oh, it just, dude, ever since the decision, it rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I get it, though. I get it.
My dad, because I remember when he was still with Cleveland the first time, my dad comes in, he's like, oh, I can't stand LeBron anymore. I'm like, why? He's so good. Like, he is so good. And then he left for Miami, and it was just the way he did it. If he would have just said, hey, I'm going to Miami, like we see a tweet that says, oh, LeBron's going to Miami, breaking news. But an hour-long special to drag it out for the last 10 minutes saying, I'm going to take my talent to Miami. And then just how it all played out. Not 1, not 2, not 3. And it's like, bro, just be humble a little bit. I understand it, but
he's certainly done things in his career that I would agree warrant some of the grief he gets, you know, like your example right there, Bush, you know, but it just
I respect his game. 100% respect. There's little things I still nitpick. Like there's times when I wish he would just shoot the damn ball and stop passing it to the role guys. Like I want to see he leads all-time game winners. I know that, but if you're that good, like if you're that clutch, let me see it every time. I don't care. Like, I want to see you with that Kobe and MJ mentality down the stretch, and that's why I got into it with someone about that game 4 when he went for 40. That first half was nuts. He had 31 in the first, and then it was 9 points in the latter half of the game, like 6 in the fourth. Bro, come on, Bron. I need more. I want to like applaud you for being great at this age, but damn it, if you're gonna do that, I need more.
Get it off his chest again.
Do
your thing, man. Yeah. That's a good segue into the NBA stuff because I want to get both of your takes on some of this. We'll just start at the what's up, Krista? We'll just start at what
she's trying to avoid the camera. She like walked in the door and like gave me the hand signal. I was like, nah, do your thing.
This is one of the homies, so she can make an appearance if she wants. But let's start with the Victor Wembanyama thing. Obviously, that's what people talk about, but I want to get your guys' takes on just his – obviously, they shut him down, but his first 2 games.
Go ahead, John.
Either one.
I think, man, I watched him the other night playing and just kind of getting his feel for the floor, man. And, you know, a lot of people clowned him for that quote he said, you know, he didn't really know what he was doing. He was kind of whirlwind. He didn't know what was going on. And it sounds goofy. You know, you're supposed to be the next, you know, upper echelon player, the generational guy, and you don't know what's going on the floor. You know, you've been playing basketball, you know, probably nonstop for at least the last year, probably workouts every day, you know, games on the weekends, weekdays, travel and whatnot. But to his point, I get what he's saying, man. It's like, as a guy like that, you got to think what he thinks mentally. He's probably never played a whole lot of guys that are on his level as far as basketball goes. He's played a lot of dudes and he's played a lot of basketball, but he's never – if you see his highlights from overseas, he's getting tip back dunks from the three-point line. He's doing whatever he wants to. He's doing moves he doesn't normally do on the floor. Like, nobody can guard him at that level, but you make that jump to the NBA, everybody can do that, man. There's a reason why all those dudes make the NBA, and there's a reason, you know, they only roster, 1,100 dudes in the whole NBA. You got to be a killer in some sort of aspect in order to be that guy.
Absolutely.
So I get where he's coming from, where he's like, I don't know what's going on. And you know, part of it's probably nerves and whatnot, because as you see in that second game, man, I mean, he did his thing as far as, you know, the time he played and what he showed on the floor. He showed that he can potentially be that guy. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be a couple of years. I don't think we're going to see it ASAP. Like that's why I tweeted. I was like, we got to stop comparing people to like how LeBron was at a high. Like, that was just different. That dude was different. Like those KG, Kobe, all these guys, all those older dudes that came out of high school way back in the day, JR, like those dudes were pretty much killers ASAP because they grew up playing, like, I'm just going to say, like, American basketball at that time was so much of a higher level than the rest of the world. So they're used to that. They were ready. They were ready when they came into the league. But him, I think his size is what hurt him the most, because I think people are going to be able to push it. Like people are going to be able to push him off the block, because you got to think he's going to have bigger, like, true NBA starting centers and power forwards guarding him next year. So I'm interested to see how that works out. That's why I'm not. I don't know if you saw when I tweeted at PJ I was like, I just don't think he's ready yet. I think if you give him 2-3 years, he's going to have a breakout year 3, year 4. That's barring if the second thing is I just hope I truly hope he stays healthy, because I don't want to see another big, like tall, skinny 7-footer have another foot injury or another lower leg injury or something like that that's hampering him for so long, because the way the game is nowadays, it does not favor guys like that at all. Just the way it's so spaced out, perimeter oriented. You've got to be able to move. So I'm interested to see how he does his first year, really, because I don't know. Because at the same time, you're playing summer league guys, you're playing guys that aren't necessarily making a name for themselves in the league. You look on some of these rosters, you're like, who the hell is that guy? I don't know who that guy is, So I'm ready to see him play actual NBA talent. I'm not saying summer league isn't NBA talent, because it is. Those are all G League guys trying to make a roster, but true NBA talent where those guys are getting paid millions.
Yeah, I think I'll give it, I guess, a kind of a basketball answer. I think his defense translates right now.
Yeah.
I think he's leading, obviously, like you said, it's summer league, but he's leading summer league in blocks. But just his ability to keep the ball alive, on the offensive glass, even if he doesn't get the rebound. And then just kind of rebound out of his area too, like that's one thing, kind of back on what we were talking about with what do you look for. Like that's one thing with bigs that I really look for is, do they rebound out of their area? So if that ball isn't coming directly to them and they don't have to just jump straight up and get it, how do they rebound the ball when they have to move a little bit laterally? And he does that. Like he keeps the basketball alive like crazy. And so I think those kind of things, kind of the effort things translate. I also think he plays hard. Like he plays, he's always crashing the glass. I feel like he's always around the ball. So those types of things I think translate to the NBA right now. But
I say he's gonna be a Rudy Gobert on steroids. Take Rudy Gobert's defense around the rim and his around. No, just like overall. Like I think he's gonna have Rudy Gobert's assets of defending the rim, being a threat around the rim, being a guy you can throw a lob to. But then he's gonna be able to step out and shoot, make plays, be a playmaker, and other things. So like right now, that's where that's how I'm seeing it. Just their body is damn near the same. But he's just more skilled offensively than what Rudy Gobert will ever be.
Right, which I think is another point of what I was going to say is he's 19 years old, and he's got a lot to learn. And as we've seen, there are players that will kind of just figure it out because they've been in that league and they've seen, or they've learned how to score a little bit better within the offense and within their own games, to where I think he's going to figure it out. Like, I really do. I think he can make plays off the bounce. I saw him making some nice looks, some nice passes, feeds to guys. But I think for this first year, maybe this first couple years, he's going to be like a pick and pop type dude and like post up dudes that that they feel like he has a mismatch on, because I feel like he's just a little bit more perimeter oriented at this point. His game seems to me like, at least on the offensive end, he wants to be a little bit more on the perimeter.
Yeah, I think more comparable. He's more of like a Dirk with a higher motor, I would say.
I could see, I see that.
Real big jump shooter, going to have a really good mid-range jumper. Not a super efficient three-point shooter, but enough to where you can't just leave him open. And like I said, the one thing, and I know that you guys have talked about this too, man, and I noticed in those first two games, his motor is crazy, man. He gets up and down the floor at every chance he can, and he is not afraid to get sprint and get his body in the way. And I think that's the best thing for him once he puts on some weight, is to be one of those guys who can disrupt on both ends. You know, he doesn't necessarily have to score. Like you said, he rebounds outside of his area. But just that motor, man, he always seems to be getting down the floor. Even if he makes a bad play or misses a rebound, he immediately turns and sprints, man. And I think that's
and we're starting to see a turn where these European players are coming in more ready than these kids from the States. And a big reason about that is because they don't do that bullshit with hoop mixtape and, you know, let me get my mixtape out there. Let me be social media content creator. Because me and Hilks talked about this the other day. I asked him, I was like, how do you see the state of the NBA moving forward? Because, like, I saw the tweet that you got Steph, KD, James Harden, LeBron, all these guys that are old now. And it's like, what happens? How's it going to be when they leave? And I'm not so sold that we're going to see, like, if the kids from the States need to, like, focus more on hoops and less on this social media rampage. Like, I got to get my video out there. I got to get this out there. I got to be the guy, you know, how you were saying earlier, John. So, like, you don't see that overseas as much because they're in the gym every day. They're playing professionally at a young age. They're getting to it. And over here, it's just different with the AAU circuit and all that stuff. It's just more centered around individualness and skills and stuff. Whereas, like, I mean, you got Luka Doncic coming over averaging triple doubles. He's been a pro since he's 14. Wembanyama is ready to be a playmaker and all that stuff. Like, all these European players are coming over ready to go. And like Luka said, the NBA is easier to score.
Yeah. And Bush, what you said about them playing pro at such a young age, like, you remember Frazier, how he talked about it was either in Scotland, it was either you're super serious into basketball and they, like, really develop you and you know, look out for you, or you pretty much don't play basketball. You know, that was there's not these thousands of youth leagues where kids play until they're in 7th grade and then they stop playing when they decide to do something else or whatever. They take it serious at a young age and they kind of pick that sport, I feel like. And like you said, start playing at a high level at that, 14, 16, 17 years old, whatever it is.
I think we're starting to take it for granted over here. Like, we really take that for granted of basketball is, if you're from the States, you're good. You're going to be a good basketball player. Well, those guys overseas, they see the NBA and they see, like, Dirk. They see those dudes and like, man, I want to be that. I want to go overseas and make a name or I want to go to the States, make a name for myself in the NBA, because they view that as, like, the pinnacle of basketball, where we see basketball as, like, if I can be a pro, I can go overseas, I can do all that. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not as, I don't know the right word for it, but, like, it's not there. It's the heart's not there as much as these guys from overseas right now.
And I think a lot of that is, and I talk about this just with, like, some of the dudes I work out with, like, privilege over precedence. So it's like, for them, like, the sport is a precedent for them. There's other stuff going on in their countries. Some of these people live in third world places. This is the only thing they got to get out, or they have other things going on. Their families have other stuff going on. There's more stuff that they could be doing than playing basketball. And we are very privileged that the game here is not only very accessible, but it's very easily played here. You can go anywhere and play. You can go to a local gym. You can hop on like a lot of us, you can hop on an AAU team, whether it's in your state or in a different state. You can play in a lot of different places and not have to worry about anything else except for, hey, if I'm not good enough, I'll find somewhere else to play. And that kind of, ties into the transfer portal stuff. Like, guys don't really have the grind or the grit anymore to be like, hey, it's either this or nothing. They got some different options, and it's guys like that. And people get pissed, at Jokic's, hey, basketball is not my life. I'm good at it, but it's not my life. But that's reality for a lot of those guys.
That's a great point. That is a really
great
point.
That's a clip. That's
I want to. Yeah,
clip.
You need to make sure you remember that little segment.
I wrote down the time. I
want to ask both of you guys this because I've just seen it now that we're on this topic of kind of like international versus NBA or America or whatever. Have you seen those like little lineups of if it was a Team World or a Team USA, like which team you would pick?
Yeah.
So like, there's Team World is like Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, and I guess who would be the fifth one?
Trying to think.
I'm trying to think. I've seen him on Twitter like 35 times.
Who would be the fifth?
I know exactly what you're talking about too. I got it.
Let's look it up. Hold on.
I might be taking,
but
you got like, there's a serious argument for Team World right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying it's a landslide or anything either way, but the lineup you can put together with the world team is very formidable. Like, oh my goodness, it could be crazy. And obviously also is the like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's another one we could put up there.
Yeah.
But if you put that world team up against, maybe your best USA team, that's going to be a good game.
Absolutely. Think about the Olympics, the last couple Olympics we've had, and how that gap has started to get smaller and smaller to where, truthfully, in these next couple Olympics, you never know. We could possibly see another team win gold. I mean, you're not getting the same Kobe, LeBron, D Wade, Melo, all of Darren Williams, that 2008 team, or like the Dream Team.
Team.
Yeah.
People say 2012 the Olympic team over 2008, but that they're sadly mistaken. They need to go watch 2008's highlight tape. Those dudes were. That was like prime D Wade, prime Kobe, prime Bron. You got those three on your team.
They were dogs.
That's prime Melo. Like those guys were. That team was so nice. They're dunking on everybody.
Yo, and while we're on the topic of that, actually, let me ask you guys: do you think that, because I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about guys not wanting to play the FIBA league, because it could hurt their careers and stuff in the NBA and going so on and so forth. What do you guys personally think about players playing in the FIBA league or playing, the world team and stuff like that? What's your guys' opinion on that?
So do you mean like kind of like Olympics or like the World Championships stuff like that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, that's a really good.
Did we lose this guy?
I think we lost him.
He's gone. There. He's there.
I'm there.
All right.
I'm there.
Say it again. So what were you going to say?
I was just going to say guys that I know that have played overseas and in the States, they talk about how different the FIBA game is, like just the simple rule aspect of it. But I don't know. You see guys being able, like Colby Ross. We mentioned him before we started recording. He's been overseas playing in a top league over there, and now his game seems to be translating to the NBA just fine. He's, Colorado kid. Shout out Colorado kid, but he's up there at, where is it? He's second in assists in the summer league right now with 6.5 in a game. 6.5 per game, right behind his teammate Keontae George with 8.5. So I guess all that is to say, the rules and the kind of the nuances of the game over there, they might be tough to shake at first when you get back to the NBA, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to hurt your career going to play in a 2.5 week World Championships or whatever it is.
No, I agree. I think the wake up call was in 2004 when we lost, and everyone's like, "Oh, damn, we just lost with NBA guys on the court. This can't happen. Like that can't happen." And so they took that serious and really was like, "Okay, we got to build a team now. Like Team USA really need to build a team." And now it seems like, like how John said, it's like a privilege to them to represent their country and try and come beat Team USA. Let's go beat Team USA because we want to be that team. Whereas over here, it's like, we're from the United States. We dominate basketball. It's going to come easy for us. And so I think there's not as much pride as you saw back in the day where you had the OGs really trying to represent the country and win a gold. Like some guys say that winning gold was more valuable than winning a championship because they got to stand on the stage and listen to the national anthem, have all that stuff, and you're like that team there, So it was more of a pride thing for them back in the day, and it's just frustrating to see nowadays because like I want to see Steph Curry playing in the Olympics. I want to see those top guys playing in the Olympics, but it's come now to like this load management thing to where it's like, no, I don't want to hurt. Like you said, I don't want to hurt myself. So I just wish it would come back to where we had the guy, like the stars in the Olympics,
What do you think, John? Do you think it's something where it's like you can see why they wouldn't want to do it, or do you think it's kind of
I think
BS?
I think Bush made a great point in like guys just don't take the pride in that anymore. They're not like, back then it was like, we wanted to do this. It was a privilege to do this because we want to represent our country and let people know that we are the best country in this particular area. Whereas now, and I think a lot of it has to do with like the increase in salary caps and all that stuff. Guys are just making too much money in the NBA. It's just, and I see it from their perspective. So I get that side of it. Like you go overseas, you get hurt. You may have just changed your life forever because you may lose that contract, especially I get it, I guess, for especially older guys like the Stephs and stuff like that. Cause like we just talked about, like you brought up, like they're towards the end of their career, man. There's
exactly
not too much more NBA they got and they don't want to waste any of that. But I see it on the adverse side too, versus like, if you want to call yourself the best player in the world, and if you want to say that the NBA is the best league in the world, we got to go out there and prove it. You got to get guys over there that are putting that into play and putting that into motion. We can't just be all talk no walk in those situations. So I see it from both sides, but I'm one of those people, man. And Anthony Edwards is one of the people that I really look up to in this situation. It's like, man, if you got the will and you got the skill, go play, bro. Like you got enough time to go get that money and get those contracts and get those endorsement deals and stuff. You've been blessed with a crazy gift. Go show it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like Anthony Edwards, man. He's starting to really like grow on me as just a player. And like, I think he'll be more of a face of the league than what a lot of people think, just because he's a dog. He does not care. he's out, like he said in that interview, he's like, I'm out there to kill. Like I'm trying to kill whatever is guarding me type deal. You know what I mean? And he's got that mentality of, you're not getting in my way. I'm going to score. We're going to do this and we're going to win. And I'm going to beat
Bush, you, talking about is the league in good hands after these dudes that we, kind of have grown to be the face of the league are gone. With guys like Anthony Edwards, I feel good about it. They're
Scoot Henderson too. I'll be honest. You got to throw Scoot Henderson because he's going to be like that. He's out there to hoop and he's out there to represent.
But I think there are a handful of guys that I think if they continue to do what they're doing and kill it at the NBA level and do it the right way, I think the league would be in good hands. But if it goes the other way, I think there might be some dissatisfaction. Who knows?
And like, I guess I just thought of this too. You got to think of an aspect of all three of us grew up watching these, like the guys that are nearing the end of their careers play. So that's our NBA. Whereas the people from the 90s who those guys aren't in, that was their NBA, and they'll go to their deathbed saying that was when the league was at its best. And we go to like, we'll praise that the 2000s was when the league was at its best, So I think that plays a big factor in it, is all the guys that we watched growing up and idolizing are starting to hit the final stages of their career.
Yeah, and it's crazy too that talking about that. I don't know if you guys have seen all this stuff on Twitter about all the younger dudes saying how much they love Paul George, and they think Paul George is the best player in the league, and people are just going crazy and losing it over that shit. And I'm one of those people, man. I love Paul George. Obviously, I don't think he's the best player in the league, but it's kind of like what you just said. Like, that's their NBA. You got to think about, like, in that time frame when those dudes were our age, 8, 9, 10 years old, really starting to love the game and understand the game. Paul George was a big thing back then, and Paul George is a big player in that era. So I definitely, like, I'm biased. Obviously, I'm biased as hell, but I definitely understand what you're saying, and I agree.
Absolutely.
Like, it's different facets of the game for different ages.
Indiana Paul George is still the best version of Paul George. When he was taking the Heat to 6-7 games, like, that dude, when he came out that first year, I was like, oh damn, this guy is gonna be a problem.
Going toe to toe with the king.
Yeah, and back and carrying dudes like Roy Hibbert and David West and guys like that who now probably couldn't even touch an NBA roster, but back then they were big names.
David West had a cold turnaround midi. Roy Hibbert, I don't know how he lasted so long. He, like, was at this point of his career, and then all of a sudden just bam.
Well, I was gonna say that, like, Roy Hibbert was, like, the most sought after center for, like, a year and a half, and then all of a sudden it was just like, he's no longer even in the league.
Bro, he was in like every trade talk at that point in time.
I know.
Everybody was facing him. And a year later, I don't even know if bro could have got on a trading block to go anywhere.
He went to the Lakers and was just ass.
Yeah,
just straight booty cheeks.
Yeah, it was bad.
Speaking on, so let's go to the last one, Damian Lillard's whole situation. I know, John, you commented on my tweet the other day, or yesterday, I think it was, about this, and it's just like, I want to know everyone's thoughts on this whole situation with how it's been handled with both Dame and the GM, because there's definitely some tension now that's starting to build.
Go ahead, lead us here.
I think, man, that's tough because, like, back to what we were just talking about with guys being towards the end of their careers, Damian Lillard's in that conversation. Like, he's going to be a all NBA guy or, whatever next year and continue to play at that level for a while longer, but he's in that conversation too. And so I see where he's coming from of being like, if Portland doesn't want to build a team that's going to fight for a championship, I want to go somewhere else because why would you not want to win a championship before your career's over?
I agree.
The interesting thing to me was, didn't Portland say, kind of as this all was starting, when the trade talks of, like, going to Miami, didn't Portland say, like, Damian Lillard's been good to us, like, we're going to do whatever we can. Yeah, like, we're going to do whatever we can to make him happy, and now it seems like they're backpedaling OD on that.
And that's what I think that's what kind of, sparked my response to Bush's tweet, was thinking about the same thing. Like, that dude has put, like, blood, sweat, tears, everything he can into making sure that franchise is successful. And if you really think about it, in the last 10 years, like, what have they done for him draft-wise? Like, CJ McCollum was, a big pickup, which is just happened to be he turned into a superstar. But really, outside of that, what can you really say about that team? Anthony Simmons is probably the next best guy that they've gotten in the last 10 years that is still even in the league. A lot of those dudes they're not even on the roster anymore.
That's a good point. I agree with that. That's why, I mean, like you just said, the dude, he did everything for you. He led you to a Western Conference Finals, played Golden State. Like, you're not going to win that series. I'm sorry, but that Golden State team was winning that series. and like you said, like what he's done for that city in general, and how Higgs, you said, was like they said they'd do anything for him, and then I think the tweet came out or news came out like 3 hours later that they're like, but we need the best possible deal backwards, and it was like, whoa, so this is gonna be one of them situations like. And how you say it's like how the Green Bay Packers treated Aaron Rodgers for so many years. And it's like, man, I'm done with this. Like, you guys have done nothing for me. I'm done. And he even said that's why Dame was holding out for so long. He's like, I want to see what you guys have in store. Are we going to rebuild? Are you going to go try and get some guys? And they didn't. And they didn't do it. They didn't trade that pick. And they were just like, no, let's draft Henderson, which isn't a bad pick, but it's like, in his eyes, I need to win now. I'm hitting that point in my career where I'm winning. I need to win now. And I just found an article where Chauncey Billups, he's in a spot right now where he has to make decisions for what's best in his career and his life. Those decisions aren't only about basketball, which is 100% true. And you got to free the man. Like, just do it. Portland's not in any situation to win right now in the West. The West is too loaded with teams, right? I mean, so they just got to kind of rebuild. It's at that point, just rebuild. Try and rebuild around Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simmons. What can you do with those two guys? Because they could potentially be a top duo backcourt in later years when it's them leading the league, you know? So you just got to get what you can take. Get what Miami wants. And I don't see where Tyler Hero wouldn't be a bad, option to get out of. That dude can go. He can play. So it's like I think it's more of like a salty situation for the GM, and he's just pissed essentially. And it's like that's just not professionally, in my opinion, how you handle it, because that fan base is going to look at it like, damn, bro, we've done everything for Dame to support him, and now this is how we're gonna do the farewell. It's going to be bittersweet.
You'd hate for that to end up being sour, kind of like like Reggie Bush was to USC there after he got his Heisman revoked and stuff. I feel like USC did him so dirty. Because wouldn't they not let him on campus or something like that?
He was banned from couldn't even.
And so you would hate for that to, not that it would get to that extent, I guess, with them, but you would hate for it to be one of those stories where you look back on it, it's like, man, Dame put in 10 plus years, a decade plus of his life, blood, sweat, and tears for Portland, and then they do him dirty as he's heading out the door.
I want to see Dame win. I do. I think he's deserving of it. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I love that series against the Thunder when he was talking massive shit to Paul George and Russ, and how Russ was rocking the baby that one game. And then I remember the next game, Dame gets a rebound and just shoos him off, was yelling that he ain't got it, he's broke, dribbles up and pulls a 40-footer and wow. I was like, this guy's so cold. And that sidestep game winner from half court that he hit was that was the one game where I watched him take over from start to finish, where I was like, wow, this guy he is a killer, for real, a killer.
I was about to say, he's an assassin. That dude he's one of those guys that you're when he has the ball in his hands at the end of the game, you're just sitting there please, God, don't make a shot.
Prayer right from the jump. Please don't let him shoot the ball. And side note, that hand wave that he did now is my signature rec move. So
hey,
I've copywritten it for the Wyoming rec. Yep, every time. Granted, I'm probably one for 15 once one does go in and I do it, but nonetheless, it's still getting done.
You're a shooter, so you keep shooting though.
Yep, got to keep it shooting.
One of the coldest game winners, and how he celebrated. He looked straight at the bench and just said, "Yep, bye,
bro.
Go home."
That dude is crazy. And let me ask y'all too, if he doesn't go to the Heat, what do y'all think, or who do y'all think is the best fit for him to go and win now?
Great question. Go ahead, Bush.
Wow. Shoot. To be honest with you, he has to go to the East because I think
agree.
there's too many teams in the West that just have the right pieces. Boston or Milwaukee, to be honest with you.
Milwaukee was mine.
Yep,
Boston or Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yeah. But I did see a crazy one on Twitter the other day. The Thunder, which is a long shot, probably not going to happen, obviously. But if you think about it, man, a lot of the keys are there. I mean, they gave some teams hell throughout the season. They damn near almost, got real busy in the playoffs. Like, they really just needed that veteran guy on their roster to really turn that team into not necessarily a contender, but definitely somebody who's going to give you some hell,
And Sam Presti has 35 first-round draft picks,
bro,
stocked up.
They will be.
So you could get some things. For the game. You could get some things from that.
Happen there.
I'll trade 5 first-round picks for great players to surround him. I'll give those away like free money.
Especially if you want to win now, like we were talking about. Like if you're the Thunder, John is saying like, yeah, they weren't a contender, but they were right there, and they're starting to get there with the squad they have now. If you're trying to keep the core together, which I'm sure they are wanting to keep guys like Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander and maybe even like a guy like Lou Dort or whatever, but you get Dame and then add like another piece, maybe another veteran. I'll take that team in a series or two,
Absolutely.
I think they get at least one against somebody.
I think he really just wants. Part of me thinks he wants to go to the East because he knows, like, he knows the West has been so good for the last 6-7 years. It's just been so stacked with teams. But I'm not saying he could make something work with the Thunder. He really could. I love Josh Giddey's game. I'm so glad you said his name because I was going to say that. I love watching Josh Giddey play.
He is, in my opinion, he's probably the most underrated young guy in the league right now. He does everything, bro. There's not a single part of his game that I would say really needs polished. He's just not super athletic.
Have you guys seen? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Have you guys seen the compilation on like Twitter or whatever of Josh Giddey doing the most basic like straight line drives and just blowing past people? Not making any moves, but just giving people buckets.
Here's a team for you. Let me ask you this. Hear me out. What about the Pelicans?
I gotta even see their roster.
But
right
the thing
now.
is there if he goes there, you gotta move Zion. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, you gotta.
I give him up.
I would too.
I can't. You can't trust that. Too, one, because of all this drama he's had, all this nonsense he's had the last month come towards him. Buddy, file a lawsuit. Get that chick out of your life. 2,
you got to get some
restraining orders, something. 2, they have a good bit. Like Jonas Valanciunas is a big that he's been there, done that. Good vet. BI, Brandon Ingram off the ball, and then CJ McCollum. Like you have those 4 on your team together. I could get some good role players around them. That could be a good squad.
But they're in the West, are they not?
Yeah, they are. But that's the thing with them. They were leading the West for – I know it's the beginning of the season in the NBA, but they were a hot team at the beginning when Zion was playing and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. Is after 40 games, they were the number 1 team in the West.
Mm-hmm. The second team – the one team I would say teams need to start looking out for, though, and their time is coming very, very quickly is the Kings. I think the Kings did something good when they got Sabonis this year. That was the craziest. Everyone was like, "What the hell are you guys? That's the dumbest trade ever." Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis, and then it worked. It just clicked right away.
It let De'Aaron Fox be De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah,
They had those 2 dudes playing together, and not that they aren't both good players, but De'Aaron Fox, he's just got a different gear, man, and he showed that this year. And I think getting him as the for sure primary ball handler, and moving Tyrese Halliburton out of there, that did wonders for him.
I love how Malik Monk's game has grown.
Yep.
And how he's been able to be so like that guy off the bench. That's all right. We come score off because every team needs a dude off the bench that can come in and score. And that was the biggest problem with the Warriors in the playoffs is Jordan Poole wasn't providing that. He just was disappearing from it. And they was 100% relying on Steph. And it was just crazy to see how Malik Monk just out of nowhere. Because I remember when he got traded to the Lakers 2 years ago, I was like, damn, this could be the team where he like breaks out and he's gonna be one of those guys, like, and it just never happened. So it was like seeing him grow this year was like, damn, okay, these guys got the right pieces to make some serious runs because Keegan Murray is good too. That dude can knock it down. He's one of the better shooters in the league too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. to key on that Malik Monk thing, man, he's the battery to that team. He's what keeps that team going. He's that energy, man. Like you see a lot of these teams, and partially it's due to load management. It's due to other stuff like that. But you'll notice with a lot of teams, and it's around the same time, like that 6-minute mark in like the second quarter, and then coming out that like first 6 minutes in the third quarter is kind of like a slump, man. And if you can get somebody in those minutes and in those times to keep you energized, just to roll you into the big moments, into the fourth quarter close games, into the third quarter momentum swings, shit like that. Like you keep one of those guys on your roster, you are a lot better off, especially come the playoffs.
But that's how it's so crazy when you sit down and like think about how the league, like how a game in the league really plays out. Is the first quarter is like, okay, we're feeling like let's get the run in, like let's get going, let's get our rhythm. Second quarter, third quarter, it's kind of the same thing. But if you can keep it close, that fourth quarter is that last 12 minutes of a fourth quarter in the NBA, especially in the big games, is so much fun to watch because it's very active.
It's active, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the best basketball players in the world going at it for 12 minutes.
Oh, man.
Fellas, this was fantastic. We're at hour 20 right now.
It's a good episode when you look up at the time and it's an hour 20.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't even know what time it was until you just mentioned it, and then I looked up and I was like, damn, we've been on this for a minute.
We've been on it.
We didn't even touch on
had a feeling
we wanted to talk about. We didn't even touch on Keontae George. So, I mean, that means that we're going to have John back on here soon.
Absolutely, boys. Y'all just let me know when. I'm always available, and I love to talk hoop, man, especially with two guys who I consider some of the better hoopers, and not only game-wise, but just knowledge of the game. I respect you guys way, way more than I do some people that I know personally. So I definitely appreciate y'all shouting me out and let me come on here.
Absolutely.
Of course, man. We appreciate
like
you.
You said, you just definitely know someone who doesn't who doesn't know hoops, and who's just like a casual of the game, rather than someone who's like a basketball savant, and they just really sit down and they watch like the game and what's going on within the game and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I've been looking for in guests lately, is someone I can sit down and, okay, we can go for an hour 30 and just not struggle with talking hoops. You know what I mean? It's just banter, essentially.
You made it easy on us today, Johnny.
Hey,
absolutely.
We appreciate you, man.
So yeah, you know what it is, people.
Kitchen Hook.
You know where to follow us. I'm not doing it.
We've said this enough
Y'all
times.
go watch the podcast. Not even this episode. Go watch every episode, bro. You guys know what we're talking about. Absolutely.
First two are a little rusty, so give us some lax on that one. But after that,
you'll notice the growth if you start from the beginning.
Appreciate it, John.
Yes, sir. Much love. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, boys.
Yep. Peace.